Hey YouTube, Big Star 1000, back with the usual weekly fare revolutions, a series in which I showcase the things that I've been playing during the week. Mostly is it's made of records that I'm revisiting. I'm not buying a great deal of records these days, and I have so many things that I want to listen to again and again, and reacquaint myself with, or really truthfully acquaint myself with, because you know when you have a certain volume of records, there are things that you sort of overlook a little bit. um, and it's great to get inspiration from other people's videos. When you show something that I've got, I pull it out and I just give it another listen. This is the fantastic thing about the VC. I'm really glad that all these old timers have resurfaced, and seeing all these videos. It's brilliant. To paraphrase James Buttery, who made a video earlier today. What a great time to to be in the VC. Yes, indeed. So I've got 20 something records here, a couple of sevens, one CD. Maybe I'll start with the CD. This is something that I played earlier this morning. This is Perubu, Pennsylvania. This is a fantastic post-punk album, except that it's from 1990, which is very no, sorry, 1998. Excuse me. It's on Cooking Vinyl. I love the fact that at the back they wrote file under popular. Yes, as if. So Perubu, for those of you who are not in the know, band from Cleveland, Ohio, and they're fronted by a very burly, dominant man called David Thomas, who basically is the inspiration, at least vocally, for Frank Black of the Pixies. Um, it's a fantastic band. Their early records, the modern dance and dub housing, are masterpieces in the post-punk genre. And this is interesting because this is from 1998, but I would say this is my third favorite Perry Boo record. I've had this for 10, 12 years, and very rarely do I revisit it, but I've really enjoyed this. It's very, very good, very cool. And these are a couple of sevens that I pulled out of my rack. Martin Circus. Martin Circus, a French band, kind of mixing comedy with prog rock and a bit of glam as well. Tout tremblant de fièvre is a very, very cool song. But I think the song they're best known for is this song, Je m'éclate au Sénégal. I'm having a ball in Senegal. It rhymes and it's good. Sort of French, French, progressive with a sense of humor. Kind of. It's fun. Check them out. Okay, so I was talking about post-punk and I was talking about Perubu. Just earlier today, I was listening to this fantastic album, Arthur Lindsay and the band Ambitious Lovers, Envy. Arthur Lindsay was the leader of a New York no wave band called DNA, and then he went on to make records with this under this name, which is still in the no wave post-punk vein, but very much inspired Brazilian music as well. It's almost like a post-punk with a touch of bossa kind of album. And then he went on to make solo records, which are completely sort of bossa nova infused. I mean, they're almost, you could almost classify them as Brazilian records. I mean, some of them are. I've got 3 or 4 of his albums on CD, and it's This is on EG Records, in 1984. Very nice, very nice album. Highly recommended. Right, here is a an exotica favorite. Uh, this is Ima Sumac, who was a Peruvian singer with a huge vocal range, like 5 octave or something, something like that, like really huge. And this is the reissue that Australian label Round Table put out a few years ago. When was that made? 2000 and something. I can't remember, but it was a few years back. And this is Ima Sumac in a sort of a semi-psychedelic mode with Les Baxter, the the famous sort of exotica exploitation sort of composer. So it's Ima Sumac and Les Baxter. A very cool record. Next, an album that I won't need to introduce. Everybody knows it. The great Kind of Blue. Maybe the most important jazz album ever, or at least one of the best. And I was playing this over lunch today. And I really can't get over how amazing the playing of Bill Evans is on this. I mean, people talk about Miles Davis, but Bill Evans' playing is so understated, mercurial, really brilliant record. And if you don't have this, well, obviously that's a must buy. A bit of funk, a little bit of a funk segment. This is what I was playing earlier today. Sex Machine by James Brown. As the story goes, it's not recorded live. it's a studio recording, but they've added some crowd noises and sounds and to make it sound like a live record. And James Brown is in fine form, but it's notable for the appearance of the Collins brothers, Bootsy Collins and Phelps Collins, which would then become full-time members of Funkadelic and Parliament. And so that's a segue of sort because I've been playing a lot of Funkadelic Parliament recently. I mean, these people will keep dying this year. It's just unbelievable. Alan Vega died this week as well. I don't know what's going on, but they're all dying. But Bernie Worrell, who was a bona fide genius of the keyboards, died a few weeks ago. And that sort of revived my interest for listening to Parliament and Funkadelic. So I'm pulling out some records. This is freaking fantastic. Funkadelic versus the Placebo Syndrome, which is from the year 1977 on Casablanca Records. And yes, features George Clinton and the Collins brothers and the great Bernie Worrell. Brilliant. And then, as a further segue, this is an absolutely fantastic album. I mean, people, if you don't have this, what can I say about this Eddie Hazel record? Now, this is the recent reissue on what's it called? Be With Records. They've done it really well, really well. This is Eddie Hazel, Game, Dames, and Guitar Things. This is, Eddie Hazel's famed sort of lost solo album, and it's incredible. It's psychedelic funk at its very best. It's again Bernie Worrell is a key ingredient there. His keyboard playing is off the chart, but I mean Eddie Hazel. I mean, if you're a fan of, especially things like Maggot Brain, and this is really in line with the sound that he got on Maggot Brain and guitar. It's just a totally amazing record. Very highly recommended. This is from 1977, like the Funkadelic record that I've just shown you. Um, yeah, yeah, high recommendation. Really, really brilliant. All right. Some Well, since I'm talking about a guitar guy, just again, I like to segue things. It's actually quite nice to segue things. It was a fantastic guitar album, amazing guitar album. Barefoot Boy on Flying Dutchman by Larry Coryell, the great jazz guitarist. This, I think, is an original pressing on Flying Dutchman. What to say about this record? It smokes. It's an instrumental jazz with. I mean, the guitar is the number one instrument there, but it's also got some really, really fantastic, really sort of amazing touches of sax on there. I need to stop saying fantastic every 5 minutes. It's like, I need to vary my vocabulary here, people. And who's on this? Roy Haynes is on drums, and Steve Marcus is on saxophone. For this, yeah, very highly recommended record. Barefoot Boy by Larry Coryell, superb. 1971. Next is a superb prog record from 1975, The Snow Goose by Camel, English band. This is prog done right. Often in prog, what I find really grating is the vocals. This is instrumental from start to finish. It's to the point. It's highly melodic. It's inspired by some classical themes. It has a little bit of Canterbury sound to it. I mean, in the sort of approach, if you listen to it, you'll hear it straight away. I bought this for $1 back 5-6 years ago in a thrift store around here. And the story goes that the Snow Goose is a children's story written by a guy called Paul Gallico, and he actually sued Camel for using his story as a musical, sort of as a basis for an album. And his reason was because Camel, as you can see, is sort of aping the cigarette brand Camel. I mean, quite obviously, the brand of cigarette Camel and the band, it's got the same logo, and he couldn't stand the fact that a band that was associated with a brand of cigarettes would would use this story as to make music. So he actually sued them, which is kind of strange. But it's one of these records where really prog is done absolutely spot on. I mean, if you see this, it looks a bit crap, doesn't it? It's not the really most inspiring cover, but it's 100%. Right, some African music. This is a re-release from a couple of years back. When was that? Probably in 2013, I would say, thereabouts. This is Mary Afi Uzwa with the album called, I'm going to launch into this, Ekpenyong Abasi, which is a delightful sort of, I mean, it's an Afrobeat records from Nigeria, and women doing this kind of music are far and few between. There's not very many women in African music. It's a male-dominated world, and she does it so well. It's, at times the vocals are almost psychedelic. There's a sort of echo in her voice. It's really dynamic and really it's enthralling music, really. And I bought this again. I would have bought this a couple of maybe a year ago or something, and sort of quickly shelved it and but to re-listen to this is really it's a really interesting listen. And the label it's on is what I don't know. Look up her name, you'll find the label. Okay, some electronic music, modern classical electronic music. This is Niels Fram Spaces. Niels Fram is a piano composer, lives in Berlin. Not sure if he's German. I think he's German, but I'm not putting money on it. This is his album from 2013, Spaces, which is a brilliant piece of music from start to finish. Mixes of modern classical approach with electronic music, lots of different styles. It's it's very highly recommended. It's a great record. Continuing with electronic music, here is a great band from Australia, the Seven Heads, with the Big Bigots, which is one of their albums from 1986, and also there's two albums in there. There's Propeller and there's the Big Bigot. In fact, this package is reversible. See, there's there's a spine here in the middle there as well. So you could, if you wanted to, you could have this as the outside, but no, I think this one is much nicer. Seven Heads, band from Sydney. They're kind of like on this anyway. I mean, not always. They were very, they're very sort of industrial sounding. But on this, they're kind of a Cabaret Voltaire meets New Order kind of sound, if to place it to you a little bit. I buy every Seven Heads album I can find when they appear in the shops here. I have a few. They're just really a seminal electronic Australian band. I mean, that's all I can say. And as I said, if you like. Imagine a more sort of industrial sounding New Order. That gives you sort of a ballpark thing. This is a great record. The Big Bigots, especially the first disc, is top notch. It's superb. In a completely different style, I revisited very similar, almost similar design, isn't it? It's almost like, well, not quite, but you know what I mean. I revisited my affinity pressing of Blasé, Archie Shep, avant-garde jazz, a little bit spiritual. There's vocals on this. Gene Lee's on vocals. Archie Shep, Lester Bowie from the Art Ensemble Chicago, Dave Burrell, Malachi Favors for from the Art Ensemble as well. Yeah, just a really great. And this came out originally on BYG Big Actuel, the French label series, and this is the English reissue on Affinity. It's a great record. It's avant-garde jazz with, as I said, a little bit of a spiritual leaning. Another revisit. I always love revisiting TV on the radio. There's something about this band that really sort of connects with me. TV and radio, a band from Brooklyn, New York. You would call them a multiracial band in the sense that half of its members are African American, and which is not a common, like it's not really common in indie bands, like in the sort of on indie setting. It's not a common thing. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be to me anyway. And this is their third or fourth album. I've lost track. Here is TV on the radio. And one of them passed away since. Who died in there? One of them died. Could it be Kit Malone, who the vocalist who passed away? I can't remember, but one of them died a few years ago, a couple of years ago. Dear Silence, essential record. Really, really brilliant from top to bottom. The first 3 or 4 songs are just, just take a listen to Halfway Home Crying. Just take a listen to that. This is on 4AD, 2008. Yeah. They're a band that I've pretty much followed since their first album, which is great too. It's a very, very good first album. Next, I've got a pair of Serge Gainsbourg record that I've been listening to. This one I'm revisiting. I haven't played for a while. It is the soundtrack to the fantastic movie Anna, starring Anna Karina, who is basically the poster girl for new wave movies in the 60s. She was Jean-Luc Godard was very fond of Anna Karina, and put her in a few movies. If you don't know Jean-Luc Godard, he's a central French director. In fact, Quentin Tarantino learns everything he knows about filmmaking from Godard. So you look him up. This is a soundtrack which was composed, as I said, by Serge Gainsbourg. Yes, my favorite musician. Yes, indeed. And the Michel Colombier on the orchestra. And on a personal level, a few years ago in Melbourne we had every year we've got the film festival, and she came to do a talk because they were playing that movie Anna for the first time ever in Australia. I think that was the first time it was played here. And we went to see the movie, my wife and I, and we went to the talk with her, and she was very, very interesting, and she talked about working with Gainsbourg, working with because Serge Gainsbourg actually appears in the movie as well, working with Jean-Luc Godard in the 60s. She's cool. I mean, she is 70 years old now, something like maybe more, 80, but she's very, very interesting. I was also playing this. This is Gainsbourg Percussion, which is probably 5th album, and this is where he explored Latin music basically, because Gainsbourg his strength was to go into a style of music and actually sort of distill the essence of the best stuff, and make records that would actually sort of reflect that inspiration. And on this record you can see that he was listening to Brazilian music, Cuban music, etc., and to sort of make to come up with a French blend of it. This is from 1964, and this has just been reissued. If you want a copy of this, and it sounds really, really good. It was the only Gainsbourg album that I didn't have already on, and I would have loved an original and stuff, but I just wasn't prepared to fork out the money. And I've got all the songs on CD anyway. I don't, I already have all these songs. So it was just sort of more to have it on wax, but it's a really, really fine album. Alright, next I revisited an album that John Ra mentioned in his last video, and he said he bought it because I was talking about it. So I thought I replayed for a little bit. Synchro Rhythmic Eclectic Language, that's the name of the band. The album is called Lambi. It's on the legendary French label Moshe Naim. And this is a French Caribbean record. The band on this is there's a couple of guys from Guadeloupe, which is a French island. Basically, it's France. For those of you who we don't know um, about the French territories. So France is made of regions and departments, and there's 5 of those which are overseas. Guadeloupe and Martinique are in the Caribbean. French Guiana is just above Brazil in South America, and then Mayotte is in the Indian Ocean, and Réunion is in the Indian Ocean. I've been to Réunion, and it's strange to go to France, but you're sort of on an island in the middle of the ocean. It's kind of weird. This here is from Guadeloupe and Martinique. I'm rambling. I'm going to get out of my teacher mode. This is what I do. I'm a teacher, and that's what I've just done. I apologize, people. You're probably bored. You probably start drawing in your books or something. This is an absolutely fantastic record. The interesting thing about this, being this Caribbean record with a bit of an Afro sort of tinge. Not an African record, but it's got, it has some African rhythms on it. The interesting thing is the violin on it. There's violin, and it's very reminiscent of Zul. Magma typically is cited as one of the Zul bands, but also things like Potemkin and this is what it reminds you of a little bit. At times, it's interesting mix between progressive rock and Afro music. Anyway, this is a record that can. And by the way, this here, sadly, it is not cheap. It's a 00 record, but it's well worth it. So if you just go on YouTube, listen to it. This is a cheap record. Gifts by Michael Gregory Jackson, and you can have this for less than $10, which is what I paid for it. He's a guitar player, and he's the other MJ. The other MJ is MGJ. This is a really cool, funky fusion record. In a sort of typical kind of late 70s, early 80s funky fusion, and you've got a really nice cast of players. You can look it up. Gifts by Michael Gregory Jackson. You can even pick it up for probably $7 as I did. It's ridiculous. Now here is a great African jazz record. Great record. This is Julian Bahula's Jazz Africa. The album is called Son of the Soil. Julian Bahula is a South African jazz musician, and this was made in England, I believe. He came to England and he recorded this. This is just superb, and this just mixes the African, I don't know, is there such a thing as African sound? No, there isn't, but you'll know what I mean if you listen to it, with the sort of really deep jazz sensibility, and it's a classy record. Really highly recommended. Jazz Africa, Son of the Soil. Here is another record on Moshe Naim. I was just talking about a second ago. A French label, and this I bought in France last year. I was traveling. Siegfried Kessler, Man and Animals, Solo, This is a great electronic keyboards. Like he plays every manner of keyboards. They're layered. Lots of Fender Rhodes, clavinets, acoustic piano, obviously, but also other electronic machines, and it's really drony. It's borderline electronic at times, but it's certainly an avant-garde sort of jazz record. Here's a fantastic neo-krat rock record. Now this is not made by Germans. It's made by two English dudes, I think, Alan James and Michael Kirkman. And you can see what they've used. I'll let you read it yourself. And it sounds like a cluster record, except even probably a bit fresher at times, you know. Subway 2 that came out in 2009 on Soul Jazz, which is when I got it, pretty much. It's just a brilliant electronic record. What can I say? Just go and sample it. Not saying it's better than Cluster. I mean that would be foolish of me to say this. It's not better than Cluster, but you know, when you listen to it, it's really interesting. That's all I can say. Finishing off with a pair of really great records. Belgian band Cos with their album Viva Boma. What is this? Sort of Canterbury School type of, you know, rock in a position mixed with funk. I think produced by Marc Moulin from Placebo. This band is from Belgium. Yes, produced by Marc Moulin. Okay, this is one of the best examples of, you know, Belgian fusion. Yeah, fusion. That's what we'll call it. It's from 1976. It's cool. And finally, spiritual jazz masterpiece, Oliver Lake and TU Points, from which creation begins, on Universal Sounds, London. What can I say? Can I say anything that's going to make it more appealing for you than just this? It's a monster record, really. An absolute monster record. I'll finish on this. Okay, thank you VC for sticking with me. I'm going to start, I think, making a couple of videos a week now. I'm going to return with some gimme 10s, I think, but they'll be shorter videos. I hope that you can stick with me to watch them. I got some gimme 10s planned, and hopefully they get some responses. Until next time.